while she was sleeping with her partner. In the middle of the night, their mattress lifted with both of them on top. Hello and welcome to our Hearts Are Restless. My name is Alexis. Thank you so much for joining me. So I've been writing the Bible out by hand for the last several weeks, and I got up to John chapter 6. I'm starting John chapter 7. But at the same time I was writing John chapter 6, something happened. So if you're not familiar with John chapter 6, in it, Jesus is talking to his disciples and the Jews, and they're inquiring, they're asking him, how can we believe that you are the Messiah, that you are the one we've actually been waiting for? Can you show us a sign? And in the previous chapter, Jesus did show them a sign. He multiplied the loaves of bread and the fish. And in this chapter, Jesus is saying, I have done those signs, and you want more. I'm not going to do more. First of all, I'm not going to do it just for you. And even if I did, you're probably not going to believe me. And at the same time, I was writing this part out. Something happened. A friend of mine came to me and told me in confidence that something really bad happened to her and her family. And the woman who was taking care of her partner was a Catholic woman. She was a nurse, but she also happened to be Catholic. And she told her, perhaps you should contact an exorcist. And that's why she called me, because she knew that I was Catholic. So she started to talk about things, supernatural things that has been happening in her own home that she had never told anybody, because, who would believe her, right? And so she told me about things moving in the house, things her daughter has seen. One time, her daughter would not approach her nor her husband because there was a big black man, dark figure, right behind her and her husband. And at first she thought it was just her daughter and, her daughter's imagination. Kids are very, imaginative, and they have imaginary friends. They say silly things. And at first, she thought, okay, maybe it's just in my kid's mind. But it came to a point where she was too afraid. Her daughter was too afraid to actually approach her. And this was in their upper room where her daughter was sleeping. And this is where that man was. And so they decided to move her downstairs into another room. And they emptied that room. There's nothing there. And then she told me that at night, sometimes they would hear things moving upstairs as if furniture were moving. But it was completely empty. It is completely empty. She mentioned that there's this feeling that she has while she's being in her house, that as soon as she walks out the door, she feels 100 times better. But as soon as she enters her house, she just has this pressure on her. And one time it was so bad that while she was sleeping with her partner, in the middle of the night, their mattress lifted with both of them on top. She is a Christian, but she has dabbled in many things. And while she was telling me all these things that were happening in her home and to her family, I posed several questions, did you bring anything into your home? Did you practice anything of the occult? Did you invite anything into your home? Those kinds of things. She said yes, in the past, but not recently. But the thing is, these things, as soon as you invite them, they stay. These supernatural events that happen to her, they don't come every single day. They come in doses, right? And a funny thing that she asked me, I said, perhaps you're right. Just like the nurse said, we probably have to call a priest and ask their opinion. But an exorcism isn't as, it's not like in the movies, right? They don't just come and just, there's usually a whole list of things documents you have to fill, tests, medical, psychological tests, to make sure it's not just in your mind, right? That's the thing that movies don't really show, the boring part of the exorcism. And she had mentioned that she had someone come and bless her house one time. And after that event, the following morning, her partner woke up with bruises all over his face. But they weren't there the night before. She also asked me for certain prayers, like maybe there's a prayer that she could do. And I said, you can pray to Our Lady, because demons and the devil are super afraid of her. And she said, yeah, but I don't want to pray anything and, invite someone to bless the house, and then it gets worse, like I end up like how my partner ended up. And I said, well, that's the risk. But you are sure that you are on the good side. You are sure that you have two sides. There's God and there's Satan. But she was trying to resist as much as possible the idea of God. She believes in God. She believes in Jesus, but her lifestyle does not reflect that. And the thing is, that's what you have to change. So I talked to my priest about my friend, and I asked him, does she have to get an exorcist? What's the process like? Who can she contact? And the first thing he said was, the first thing that has to change is her. She has to be willing to follow Christ. That is the first thing you do. An exorcist is not like a doctor, like where you can take an appointment, you have a cold, and he can fix it kind of thing. No. God he loves you so much that he's willing to let you choose. He's not forcing anything onto you. And I told her, I remember she was a little bit, like I said, she didn't want to bring any books or prayers, say any prayers, because she didn't want to end up like her partner. And at one point she was saying, like, I really don't understand why this is happening. Like, why are all these crazy things happening? I thought it was just in my mind. Why is this happening to me? And I told her, maybe it's because God is trying to talk to you. He's allowing these things to happen to you so that you actually listen to him. And the priest that I spoke to about, he said, God is adaptable. He speaks to people in different ways. He'll allow different things to different people, and he will talk to you in the manner that speaks to you most. And he's like, when he speaks to Nicodemus, it's different from the way he spoke or didn't speak to Pontius Pilate. And so I told her, this is the way that God is speaking to you. Or he's allowing it to tell you that he's there and that he loves you, and you need to run to him. And you need to trust in him more than you trust in the devil. And she is not an isolated case, because I've had 3 people tell me about things like this. I have another friend who had things move in his house. A bottle just burst. No one touched it. It was just him and his partner, and they were just talking in the kitchen, and then all of a sudden this bottle just burst. And as they were cleaning it, his partner said, don't acknowledge it, don't acknowledge it, don't acknowledge it. And that is the biggest problem, is because when we have this fascination with the devil and demons, it's really scary, and we tend to put so much emphasis like on the devil. But what we don't realize is that there is the good. God is there. And another person I know, when they were younger, they played with a Ouija board in some empty house. And he and his friends played with this Ouija board, and then they heard movement upstairs and left, because they got really scared. They were like 13. And later in their life, they had sleep paralysis, which is a real medical issue. But he would have these dreams of a man sitting at the end of his bed, or this dark black figure at the end of this bed. And he would have this feeling of dread and despair. And this person at the end of this bed, as we would try to touch it, it would just make him feel worse and worse. And my other friend had the same exact dream. He had sleep paralysis as well. And there's this figure at the end of the bed, the same figure at the end of the bed, black figure, dark. And it's the same sense of dread and despair that he felt. And so I was thinking, it's the same. It's the same as it was back in Jesus' day. How much more, how many signs do you need? God is allowing the diabolical because you need, perhaps this is your way of being able to listen to him. He's screaming at you when these things are happening. But I find that with all these people, these three people, what's so frustrating, yes, God allows everyone to love him freely, but it's so frustrating as a human being when these friends of mine tell me what's going on in their lives, and it's so hard, and I tell them, Jesus is the solution, please go pray. They kind of push it aside because it's too hard to leave their current lives, But you can't blame God for not giving you a sign that he's here, because they would also make that claim. God's not here. He's letting these bad things happen. I'm like, yeah, he's letting it happen so that you run to him. The same friend who had also diabolical, supernatural things happen to him, he told me like, oh, Jesus today wouldn't work. No one would believe him. He wouldn't, if he did any signs or anything, no one would believe him. Like, well, no, actually, even back in the day, there were people that didn't believe him. Even Thomas, till the end, when he's like, are you the risen Christ? He's like, you want to touch my sides? He lived with Jesus. And yet, even after that, after the crucifixion, after the resurrection, he still asked for a sign. And that's the thing. God isn't asking us to know everything, to expect signs, to only rely on having him show us signs, because that's not all there is to him. He is not a monkey. He is not a Superman or a magician showing you magical things just so you would believe. There's a part in the Bible where the man comes to Jesus and says, oh, my son is so sick, he's going to die, please help him. And Jesus said, don't worry about it, he's cured. But the man doesn't go to Jesus and say, are you sure? Are you sure? Can you come with me and check? No, he just leaves. And when he gets there, on his way there, his servants come and tell him he's cured. And it was the same time that Jesus told him that your son is fine. And that's what he demands of us. He demands us he will give us what is necessary. He's not going to spoon feed it to you, because he wants you to make the next step. He wants you to take the step to love him, just like in any relationship. In the beginning of any relationship between a man and a woman, the courting part, there's always initiative from both sides, right? Because you want to, right? You want to see that person. You want to give them the flowers. You want to give them the attention, letters, or what have you. And that's what he's asking of us. Let me give you something, but then whenever you want, if you want, you can answer, you can give it back. That's what he wants us to do, right? To give ourselves to him so that he can give more of himself to us. The diabolical is real. It's not imaginary. It has happened in the past. It will continue to happen so long as we let it. And if we don't run to God for help, we're going to stay. It's, as the priest told me, don't worry, the devil will make it super easy for you to get to hell. This is such a big problem because most people think that the diabolical doesn't exist. I find that these things happen to people, when the devil comes in or demons come in. I find that it tends to happen to people who are just in between, or going from one end to the other, believing, not believing, or believing this pagan thing or this other thing. Whereas I know, like in my family, pure atheists, they don't even pay any attention. And that's where I'm sure the devil would prefer. But for those who are dabbling, like, oh, maybe I want to follow God, but there's this interesting magical thing over here that I want to follow. That's when he comes in. If you're experiencing any diabolical or supernatural events in your life, go to Jesus. Go to him. Take that first step and ask for help. Say his name, pray to him. And also, yes, seek out, because it is in you. He will not force you to follow him. He will not force you to be with him. He will not show you extra signs so that you believe him. He has shown you enough signs. And maybe this is his way of telling you, I am here. Come to me. You are welcome. And I love you. Don't be afraid. Don't give the devil more credit than he deserves. He's nothing. If you're dabbling in a diabolical, any pagan ritual or anything like that, and things are happening to you, just stop everything and change. Go to Jesus. Change your life. And he will make you more. He will make you anew. If any of these things have happened to you, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to know. Share it so that people know that the diabolical is real. It is not imaginary, and it's not all in your head, and it exists. And it is a way that God is allowing evil so that you can come to him and show you that there is a greater good. My name is Alexis. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. God bless.